And we meet again. Welcome in to another edition of Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you, getting you all set for this week's matchup between your Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. The Seahawks looking to get revenge after the debacle that occurred week one. And since this game, these two teams have gone two completely different directions. Seattle trying to keep the fight alive for the division title, the NFC West. The Rams just trying to keep their season alive to hopefully make a wild card spot, a pivotal game for both these teams. We'll go over my keys to victory, the injury report, and my prediction coming up at the end of today's show. But first, if you want the Seahawks to beat the Rams, here's what I need you to do. Go ahead and like today's video. Don't even question it. Just like the video. The more likes we get, the more likely the Seahawks' chances are of winning. Don't make me come find you because you didn't like today's video. If you want to Seahawks win, hit the like button and we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin with the injury report for the Seahawks. And good news, it's not that lengthy, to be honest. As Anthony Bradford with a knee injury, he's questionable. Kenny McIntosh with a knee injury, he's questionable. Abraham Lucas, we've been waiting for that return. He's doubtful at the moment. We'll see if that changes as the week goes on. And then Dareke Young, he's questionable as well. The silver lining of all this is most of these guys are guys that are returning from injuries previously, not new injuries for the most part. Meanwhile, the Rams injury report, the most notable is their quarterback, Matthew Stafford, with a thumb injury. He is questionable, although the Rams are optimistic that he will ultimately play this weekend for L.A. If not, we could end up seeing Carson Wentz with a few other injuries there for Los Angeles as well. The big takeaway for me when I look at the injury report on Seattle's end of things is that we're still waiting on that Abe Lucas factor, right? We've been told for weeks and weeks that, he's close, and nothing's happened yet. The good news for Seattle, though, 42-year-old Jason Peters, who's probably old enough to be my biological father, delivered a very good performance last week. So, if we don't see Abe Lucas quite yet, the Seahawks have guys that step up and carry the load if need be until Lucas makes his return. But we all know that this offensive line is going to be better when Abraham Lucas is involved. Later on in today's show, I'll give you my prediction, who I have winning this game and the final score. But want to hear from you first. It's our pinned comment today. Tell me who wins, what the score is going to be. Get your predictions in, and let me know how this game plays out in the comment section below. All right, keys to victory. Let's start with pressure on the quarterback. This was a big problem for the Seattle Seahawks week one, and since then, they've added a couple new pass rushers since their last meeting with the LA Rams, bringing in Leonard Williams and Frank Clark. And look, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Stafford or Wentz or whoever it may be, the pass rush for this Seattle Seahawks team has to come up big and get after the quarterback. Because if you looked at all the reasons why the Seahawks lost this first game, I would say that the pass rush was probably the biggest reason why that they lost in the previous meeting. Because you go back, there was no sacks allowed in that week one matchup. Since then, the Seahawks have turned a corner. They're averaging 3.3 sacks per game. That's tied for fourth best in the NFL so far this season. So we have seen drastic improvement, but you don't need to take two steps backwards in that direction. The guy I'm watching for, as we all should be watching for, is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Boye Mafe, who has just been on a tear so far in 2023. In the 8 games that he's played, he's had 7 sacks, has gone 7 straight games with a sack, which is a Seahawks franchise record. Also has 10 QB hits, 7 tackles for loss, 32 tackles. Watch out for Boye to have his name called and have a big day once again. So, here's what I want to do. Here's a little challenge. Every time we've done this, it's worked every time. So why are we stopping with this now? If you want the Seahawks to get a sack on whoever's playing quarterback for the Rams, type sack in the comment section. For every individual sack comment, that equals 1 sack on the quarterback. So if you want the Seahawks to get 10 sacks, type sack 10 different times. If you want to get 5 sacks, type it 5 times. I don't care. It's up to you. How bad do you want it? Let us know in that comment section below. Today's episode of Seahawks Today is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Here's how Prize Picks works, folks. You get the choice of 2 or more players, and you select any given category, the options of more or less. Take example, receiving yards, maybe it's passing yards, touchdowns. You can mix and match different sports as well, like an NFL, NBA combo. Maybe you want to do some college football. It's very easy to play. And here's what we're offering new users of Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. We are giving you a $100 deposit match when you use the promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video to make it easy for you. Prize Picks this week. Here's what I am rolling with. I got Kenneth Walker III to have more than 65.5 rushing yards. I got Tyler Lockett to have more than 58.5 receiving yards. And then we'll head to the Monday night game next week of the Chiefs and the Eagles. I got Isaiah Pacheco to have less than 59.5 rushing yards. You can play along with me on Prize Picks. Play for yourself. See what you can come up with as well at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for that $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seahawks Today. All right, number 2 for Seattle and keys to victory is consistency from Geno Smith. Last week was a breakthrough performance for Geno after the recent struggles that he had in the previous 4 games. But now I need that game to not be an outlier, but something that we see on a week-to-week basis. We need that consistency from Geno Smith. Last week, in the second half in particular, he was awesome. He finished up the day 31 of 47, 369 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Those type of performances, I will take any given week and not complain about it. If Geno does that again, the Seahawks win. That's what we need to see on a week-in, week-out basis because you look at the numbers, when you factor those numbers in to the last 5 games, his statistics still aren't great. 6 touchdowns, 6 picks in that stretch. He's thrown for 275 yards a game, but that completion percentage is around 63%. Typically, we're used to seeing Geno throwing for close to 70% passing, so that's got to come up a bit. We need to see more of that Geno Smith we know that he's capable of like he showed last week against Washington. Number 3 on our keys to a Seahawks win is slowing down Puka Nacua. Now, if you didn't know who Puka Nacua was before week 1, you know now. Nacua was a problem the last time the Seahawks faced the Rams, and it wasn't a fluke by any stretch of the imagination. He's played really good football since. Now, granted, Cooper Kupp was out for the beginning of the season, and Nacua was getting more opportunities to make a name for himself. But even with that said, he's looked like the best rookie receiver in the NFL. Apologies to JSN, but we're just spitting facts here, folks. Here's what Puka Nacua has done so far. You go back to the last game, had 10 catches, 100 yards. Since then, his numbers now, 64 catches, 827 yards, 2 touchdowns, and close to 13 yards of reception. This guy's on pace to easily get over 1,000 yards receiving. So not only do you have to worry about Tutu Atwell and Cooper Kupp and those guys, you got to slow down Puka Nacua. Cannot let what happened happen again. Luckily, Devin Witherspoon you have this time compared to the last time these two teams faced. What's your confidence level heading into the rematch on Sunday against the LA Rams? I'm feeling pretty good about this team. 6-3. These teams look completely different than they did week 1. I feel like I would give this team about a 70% chance of winning, so I'll go 7-10. What's your confidence level heading into Sunday? Let us know in the comments section. Don't forget, we are going to be live for our Seahawks-Rams watch party right here on Seahawks Today. Coming up this Sunday, our coverage begins just shortly after 12 Pacific time, about 12:25 to be exact, is when we'll get things going. Me and Smitty are going to be here. You will not want to miss out on that. We'll have some games, have a few drinks on hand. It is going to be a grand old time. Join us for Seahawks-Rams right here on Seahawks Today. We'll see you this Sunday here on the channel. Number 4 on keys to victory for the Seahawks is time to throw the football. And this was a big problem for the Seahawks the last time they faced the Rams. And quite frankly, it's going to be an issue every time you face Los Angeles, as long as Aaron Donald is still wearing the Rams uniform. one of the best defensive players we've ever seen in this game that we call American football. And it's just going to be an issue you're going to have to deal with. And think about this. Geno Smith, his time to throw, as we dive into the nerd numbers, the analytics here. In that first meeting, he only had about 2.67 seconds to throw. And that doesn't tell the full story because that number was much less in the second half when Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross went down. Now that number has risen quite a bit to 2.96, nearly 3 seconds now. That's sixth best in the NFL. So you can see, just even in the nerd numbers, that the improvement is there, that it's showing. And give credit where credit's due to this group. I mean, it seems like every week we see a different offensive line unit for this Seahawks team with the injuries that have piled up and just the way things have shifted around. But these guys are finding ways to make it work, and this is one of their toughest challenges yet. Maybe their toughest challenge yet going up against Aaron Donald in this Rams defensive line. Let's see what they can do to get the job done. Last on our keys to victory for the Seahawks is finishing strong. And you go back to that first meeting, the Seahawks, they had a lead at halftime, remember? And then things fell apart in that second half. This team keeps us on our toes every single week. If you're not part of our watch parties on Sundays, you're missing out because, I'm just covering my eyes like I don't know what's going to happen next. This team makes us very nervous. But even with that said, they find a way to win those close games. They got the clutch gene in them. In the Seahawks' 6 wins this season, they've outscored their opponents 98 to 54 in the second half. That's almost double of their opposing teams. So if the Seahawks win, then they got to have a strong second half. That's what the numbers, that's what the analytics tell us. Finish strong, go out there, put your best foot forward in those second half. That's the biggest key of all the keys to victory here. Who will be the Seahawks MVP on Sunday? We talked about a couple different guys to watch. Geno, Boye, will it be somebody else? Get in that comment section. Let me know who you think the Seahawks MVP is going to be this Sunday. To recap our keys to a Seahawks victory. Got to get pressure on the quarterback. Doesn't matter if it's Matt Stafford or Carson Wentz or whoever. Going to be a big key. Consistency from Geno Smith. What we saw last week, I want that again. Got to slow down Puka Nacua. This guy's a problem. Can't let that happen again like we saw week 1. Got to give Geno time to throw the football. Got to be able to finish strong. Put your best foot forward in the second half. The Seahawks do all those things. I expect a win from Seattle. Things to go much differently than what we saw week 1. I have the Seahawks getting the dub 24-17. Then you move to 7-3. A Thursday night Thanksgiving game against the San Francisco 49ers to follow. We're still taking it one game at a time, though. Not looking ahead just yet. But a very important game for the Seahawks. I expect them to get the job done. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. Don't jinx the Seahawks' chances of winning this one. Hit that like button. We'll see you next time right here on Seahawks.